What's up, everybody? It's Quinton from Hunters of Light. It's a Friday. It's one day after the launch of the EOS R5, EOS R6, etc. I tell you what, unless you've played with that camera, you have no idea what the animal eye tracking is like. Janine, I think when you get your hands on the R5 or the R6, it's such a game changer. And I know that's such an overused word, but until you've seen it and it kind of goes grab body, grab head, eye, and follows it, it's like, well, you don't even have to try, seriously. But anyway, that's enough about me. Today, as I said, we've got Janine Krayer with us. She is predominantly in Chobe, hey, at Pangolin Safaris. And she's going to give us the whole rundown of that. I think you've been with him since 2013, hey?
Yeah, for a while now.
That's a long time, absolutely. Time flies when you're having fun, hey? And I'm sure it must be awesome to do what you're doing. But yeah, you can explain. Let's hand it over to you. How's the lockdown been for you guys? Is Botswana still closed completely?
We're still closed completely. The borders are closed. It's a little bit of zoning happening, but you can get movement permits to get from one area to another. But the national parks are all open. So for us, it's nice. We can get in, and we've had some fantastic outings. It's like Africa 1970 again. But yeah, we're waiting for everybody to be able to come in.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I suppose that's the one cool thing is that you've got basically all the parks and everything completely to yourselves. You know, you don't have to sort of vie for attention or anything like that. Wherever you go, there's pretty much just you guys that are there.
Yeah, it's a true privilege. I never thought I could do it. I never thought I can travel Botswana like that camping in July, because we're always busy this time of the year. We don't get to go out like that. So it's been special. Very cool.
All right, so yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to your images. I know that there's been a couple of people that have mentioned on the promos that we've done how excited they are. So don't be nervous, you'll be fine. If anything goes wrong, it's my fault. All right, Janine, over to you.
All right, guys. So I think Quinton mentioned most of it. I work for Pangolin Photo Safaris, and I think I have one of the most amazing jobs in the world. I go out there pretty much on a daily basis and help people with their photography on safari. We work in other areas in Africa, other areas in Botswana, but this is our base here. And I would like to share with you today a little bit more about how to capture the soul of an animal when you sit in front of it, and especially in wildlife photography.
Absolutely. And when you can hear the breathing, because I mean, we just did a little quick run through the first part. When you've got an ellie that close to you, the goosebumps that you get are not so much from the natural goosebumps. It's actually the wind from its mouth that you can feel blowing on you.
Yeah, you don't want him to trumpet that close, that's for sure.
Not at all. All right, over to you.
All right. Are we going to get started?
Yeah, let's get started.
Right in?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's share the screen. Oh, by the way, the R6, R5, can't wait. If we wouldn't have those border issues, we would be in a different position. I'm actually heartbroken that we're locked down. Can't wait to see these cameras. Must be amazing.
Absolutely. I think we're going to have to smuggle some in there. I know Roger was talking about a trip up there. So, well, we'll see.
Please. You're always welcome.
Very cool.
All right, let's share the screens. Let's get the PowerPoint started. Here we go.
There you go.
Are we on?
Yep, all good.
Perfect. Then let's get started. So thank you very much for providing me with this platform today. Really special. It's a really cool thing you guys have set up here. And as I said, I'm going to speak about capturing the soul of an animal and wildlife photography. We'll do that. So just to give you guys an idea where most of my portfolio is coming from, I take guests, as I said, out on safari here in the Chobe, and most of the photography is actually done from a flat bottom boat, looking something like that. And we go around the riverbanks looking for game. So it's a little bit of a different style of safari. We do go out on game viewers as well, but this is most of what we do, which is a bit strange to most people. And thereby we can get really, really nice and close to our subject, as you see here, because a boat functions a bit like a floating hide, actually. And the wildlife around it is very used to it. And this was a very exceptional moment. We don't get that a lot. But this basically summarizes the way it should be, because as the elephant approaches us on his own terms, in his natural environment, we get touched by his presence. As you say, we get goosebumps. It is so inspiring. And that is really when we are able to capture his soul.
I mean, I'm a couple of thousand kilometers away and I'm getting goosebumps just seeing this. It's incredible.
Yeah, your heart rate definitely goes up. It's unbelievable. And it drives our guests to tears a lot. Sure. Not tears of being scared, but because it's just so unbelieving. So we often find ourselves completely surrounded by these amazing animals, and whether that is a photographic opportunity or not, in that moment, it really doesn't matter. It's just a really amazing experience. You must always remember that not everything is a shot out there, and you shouldn't get so tight about your photograph that this is what it's all about, because the best picture often is your mental photograph, because that's when everything feels right and feels perfect.
Yeah, it's always a bit interesting when you look at photographs. You'll have people that are looking at a photograph, that the person who's taken it and someone who's seeing it for the first time will have a different reaction. You know, someone who's seeing it for the first time will sort of go, "Wow, that's amazing," but the person who's taken it will feel the same goosebumps, will feel the same heat on the back of their neck. You know, all of those things that go into making that such an amazing memory. And I think that's the real trick with photography is trying to convey all of those feelings, you know, when you've just got a still image.
Yeah, all the emotions that flow into it. And if you convey them, then you did something right.
Absolutely.
Getting to the pictures, in case you didn't notice yet, the Chobe River is all about elephants. We get a huge variety of game here around the riverbanks, but elephants seem to be the protagonist of the story for most of the time. And we can capture them from all sides and angles. And if you just give yourself enough time, you can't come for an afternoon and expect to see it all. So the wide open riverbanks really allow for beautiful open surfaces, and water levels drop in our dry season, we get these magnificent silhouettes that we can take both during the daytime, but also during sunset. So a lot of people come with this in mind, especially when the river is low. On the flat bottom boats, we lie on our bellies and we try and shoot up towards them against the sky. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that first black and white silhouette, it almost looks like one of those sort of pantomime type things where you've got I don't know what it's called, I can't remember the name of it, but where the light shining from behind and you see the shadows on the screen as the elephant or the person walks across. It's really awesome.
In German, we call it a scissor cut. My mom has all of us children cut out, like just the profile of it. Yeah. That's what it reminds me of, just cool. A scissor cut. So when you watch them on a daily basis, the term gentle giants really starts making a lot of sense. To capture that photo that speaks to you and your audience, you really need to learn a lot about your subject matter. You need to observe it. You mustn't just go in there with a tick or a to-do list. You need to understand the behavior and then find out what makes them special and tell that specific story. And I really wanted to capture their playful side. And they often play on the Chobe riverbanks in the mud. It's very fun to watch, but very difficult to photograph because that muddy background makes it very busy. You can't really show it so nicely. So catching this bull playing in the open water during our lush green season gave me that background I wanted. And by throwing his trunk up like that and almost breaching out of the water like a whale, it makes him look careless and happy and free, and it takes that heaviness away of an elephant. And that's exactly what you want to show if you want to talk about gentle giants and their gentle side.
It definitely shows a softness to them, where it's almost like it's a nice little back stretch that's happening there, and you know, personality.
They're amazing. And they're all different. Some want to come as close as what this one came in the video, and others want to have nothing to do with you. You really need to understand their characters. So we don't just have elephants, obviously, on the Chobe River. Other giants also reside here, and we have an amazing amount of bird variety and bird life. And I quickly want to show you on this example what a difference it makes to put yourself on eye level into their shoes, basically away from that spectator height that you often have. This is only about 2 feet higher than the previous shot, simply sitting up on the chair. And this is another 2-3 feet higher, me standing up. I'm about 6 feet tall. So look what a difference it actually makes to place yourself on the level of your subject. It really tells a story on a completely different level.
It cleans it up really nicely.
Yeah, it makes a difference, and it gives a connection to the viewer. And then obviously we have all that bird life in the Chobe, and it's breathtaking. We have the very small ones and the much larger ones that look all fierce, and we have the crazy ones with their really erratic fishing behavior, almost falling over. And we have the really bad hair days, and we have those that breed along the Chobe River and carry their chicks around. And then we have those that bathe because we get our 40-degree days and it's just too hot for everybody to bear. Those that fish and those that fight. It's really amazing. The pretty ones and the very uncommon ones like the Allen's gallinols. So each one of these birds, dull or colorful, big or small, has their own behavior and story to tell at the end. And it's up to you to display it and to show their character basically in one shot, in one word. So much so that you can even capture someone that had previously no interest in bird life at all. So from a technical point of view, we often need to shoot at 2000s of a shutter speed and higher. And that is simply to compensate for the movement of the boat, but also obviously the movement of the animal, especially as we often get surprised by the best moments. I have a lot of guests shooting slower to try and press their ISO down. But if you look closely at the images, they often have a slight bit of motion blur at the end. So I'm personally not really willing to take that risk. And my personal rule of thumb at the end is trying to achieve double your focal length. I know that sounds like a lot, especially if you shoot lenses, but that means you really need to shoot in good light conditions at the end. Maybe those new mirrorless cameras, Quentin, that you talked about will set a new parameter there, because with their stabilization, things are a little bit different and their focus, but I wasn't able to check it out yet. So currently this is my standard.
Don't worry, it's coming, it's coming. And the other thing about the newer sensors is that you can actually push the ISO that much higher. You know, Roger and I were doing some tests, you know, day before yesterday, and just playing around, and initially it was overcast, and I mean we were shooting stuff at 10,000 ISO, 12,800 ISO. I mean it's not perfect, but for a lot of the shots it's perfectly usable, which is unheard of for me.
I'm shooting on these ISOs a lot already. Yeah. And despite everything, because there's no other way of capturing part of what we see. If you see those elephants approaching the lions after sunset, you're going to shoot on a 25,000 ISO.
Exactly.
So, but at the end, all these technicalities behind it are just means to an end, really. People get very intimidated by it, don't. It doesn't matter how often you might have seen a subject or even how common it might be. I think the beauty of photography remains in making it your tool to understand what is in front of you and try and see the different perspectives. So this particular photograph here is an anhinga, and also known as a snake bird. That is not just common with us here in the Chobe, very common, but I think in all parts of the world. We have it in South America and North America. I've seen something like it in Europe. It's a simple black bird, you might think, not worthy of any more attention. I had many photographers joining me in discarding away. It's not a lion, it's not a leopard, it's not colorful, no interest. But watching it throughout the season is amazing. The diving abilities, the big webbed feet, that long neck, the molting period, and the beautiful silver shiny feathers that it spreads out for drying. By shooting this bird in front of a dark, shady background, and underexposing it by about minus 3.3. That's quite extreme. I was able to blacken out all the shades, which elevated the birds and the shiny feather out. So suddenly people look twice, and the bird doesn't seem so boring anymore like it did before.
It could be middle of the night, and there's a bit of a spotlight shining on it, and it's amazing when you start playing with the settings how you can completely change it, and as you say, make it something that stands out, and people go, "What is that?"
Yeah, and it looks nothing like what your eyes see.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You develop a really good feeling for it. So, matter of fact, this technique works with any subject matter, by the way. As long as the subject is in the sun and the background is in the shadow, you can get rid of any distraction and make it look like studio work. Early mornings are actually often the best time to find these light conditions because you have these long shadows casting. In general, me and my colleagues do not like to use flash with wildlife as it is quickly a matter of disturbing them. It is a really fine line to walk in. We'd rather not do it. So using the natural light to elevate what is actually there might take a bit more time and patience, but provides you with a sense of reality in the shot, while you develop an unbelievable feeling for the atmosphere out there. So very rarely are pictures as straightforward and easy as they seem. This is a 1 out of 10,000 that comes as picture perfect as it actually looks. To capture the soul of the subject, we need to start reading the given situation and utilize different downfalls to our advantage. This will then allow us to create something new and exciting, rather than creating the same identical look over and over again. How many line shots have you actually seen in your lifetime that look nearly identical? It's become really difficult to create something new and different. So therefore, I want to urge you during this talk to try and capture the soul of the animal and dig deep, while making the viewer think about the photograph. Try and tell a story and be intriguing. Create art rather than just another shot down memory lane. Taking safety shots and memory shots are great practice to get to learn both your camera and the wildlife's behavior better. But then try to explore and capture the mood rather than always go for the first best thing that's out there. Giraffes, for instance, as graceful as they are some of the most awkward animals to photograph, as you can see right here. Bit bloated, bit weird. They often have a horizon cutting through them, which is very distracting, and the bushes just take away from them. They come in the weirdest position. I know they're graceful, but they're long and lanky, and they manage to twist and turn themselves. And with their head stuck in the sky, they're often terribly backlit in harsh light conditions. So use all that to your advantage. Show the loftiness of the animal by giving it lots of space in the sky. Utilize a shadow on its face to overexpose in the extreme, depending on how deep the shadow is or how much you look into the sun, between 1.3 and even +4, allowing for a black and white image afterwards that really elevates the giraffe's pattern. Make sure you cut that silly horizon out. Similar with a hippo. Despite their known agility and temper, they often look very plump and endearing in the water. Try and capture them in action to show their real character. This was shot during sunset, which allowed for a really unusual color in addition. So this hippo was literally seeing red, much more alike. Or alternative, you could try and show their marine-like behavior. Did you know their closest relatives are whales, actually? By catching the spray when they surface. So this photograph was rather uncomfortable to take, as we had to look straight into the low-hanging sun. And a lot of my people were giving up right from the start while waiting for the hippos to surface. It was a bit like a game of whack-a-mole, figuring out where these hippos might pop up or not. However, if we try and capture the spray with the sun in our back instead, it's hardly visible against the bright blue water. So you had to look into the sun. And again, the higher shutter speeds are your friends, even though the hippos are relaxing in the water. Water droplets paired with unexpected and erratic movement are really difficult to freeze otherwise. That is when your caution for a low ISO simply goes flying out the window, as we said. It really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, the ISO will just add to the texture of the water in the air over there.
It's some extra sparkles, exactly.
That's exactly it, yeah. You know, the cool thing about, you know, once you've got the shot that, you know, the banker, moving around, you know, coming at it from different angles, you know, with the sun behind the animal, etc. Those are the shots where sometimes you get some real magic. And I'm so glad that you're showing examples of that sort of thing. It's really cool.
Yeah, not always do you have the chance to choose your position, but if you can, it really helps.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of this as a studio kind of thing. Well, we'll just move the model to the left. I do understand that if you're on a boat, you can't always, you know, get off on the bank and walk across to where you need to go to.
Yeah, with animals, it's not always the same. Same with the white balance. We always say, especially with the lion, holding a quick gray card next to his face is unfortunately not an option. Yeah. But talking about these silly ISOs that we were earlier, lions are completely ballpark to themselves because most of the time you spend with them, they're sleeping. And when they finally get up and get into action, the light is getting low. So this image was taken at a 50th of a second at 20,000 ISO. That's when you hold your breath, you stop your heart, you start burst shooting and place all the hope in the gear that you're busy using. Because yeah, there is no other chance. However, at this light, this is the minutes just after sunset when it's really, really glowy, the lion finally gets that color and contrast that you really want. And people are so scared of ISO.
Apparently there's a formula of, and I don't know how to explain it properly, but you need to shoot a certain number of pictures to get one of them without any issues. And I think it depends on shutter speed and focal length, etc. But like you were saying, you know, just shooting a burst, you have to shoot a minimum of X frames so that at least one of them will be what you want it to be. I don't know what it is. I know Roger's on here and he told me about it. So Roger, if you're able to give us that explanation, please do in the comments.
That would be awesome to know. I just hold my finger down and hope the lion doesn't lift his head in the meanwhile.
And
like, don't you dare move.
Yeah, don't blink either.
So you see there's motion blur in the tongue, but I can live with that.
Yeah. What lens was this with? And
That's 100 to 400 Mark II.
Okay, and any with an extender?
No, not at that time of the day.
And
no,
what was it on?
Anymore. An 1DX Mark II.
Cool. Okay, there we go. And 1DX Mark II, 100, 400. There we go. And that would have been 5.6, hey? The aperture on that. Yeah.
That's 5.6. It's as low as you can go.
Yeah.
No, at this stage, extenders just go flying off.
Yes.
There's no chance anymore in an f8. But yeah, the 1DX Mark II is a trusty steed. I shoot it on any ISO I have to at that moment and see what comes out.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, the moment is what's important. You know, you can't put away your camera because you know, the light is gone. You know, even if you convert it to black and white, but it's the spectacular shot. You know, getting it is what you need. Okay, so here's Roger's comment. The law is 1 shutter speed down needs 2 shots. 2 speeds down is 34 shots. 3 stops down is 8 shots. Okay, Roger, I don't know. You're going to have to do a video on that. But it seems pretty complicated. Thanks, we'll do a video on that separately.
So whatever you do, hold your finger down when you're not sure about your settings.
That's it. I think that's good advice. You know, for people who don't get the maths, just hold your finger down and don't breathe and your heartbeat must stop.
Yeah, it's like a biathlon. So sometimes you just run into the problem that it really just gets too dark. There's no way to create a sharp picture, but a lion is a dynamic creature. So why not use a low light and create an intentional slow motion blur then? Yes, you do run the risk of not getting anything at all, But I would rather take that risk and try and capture the lion's true sense of urgency in this picture than create another mediocre shot. Not always, no, not really, not, what do I say? Rarely do I actually get the face sharp, as I did in this slow motion pan here. But at the end, it's up to the creator to decide whether the image transports the feeling that you want it to convey. And I have another example of this. I really like this image, for instance.
That's so
Even
cool.
though nothing is sharp. Nothing. The colors and the shapes show the burned land, the nightfall, the speed at which the male lion is patrolling the territory. And despite all of the blurriness, even the muscular power and grace is still showing.
It's beautiful.
And at the end, photography is an art, and art is subjective. So don't you get disheartened if your photograph doesn't find the approval of everyone out there. That's impossible nowadays. So remember, Picasso said, learn the rules like a pro, but break them like an artist. So slow motion blurs are sometimes scary because you're scared to miss the situation, but they're a great way.
Absolutely. Just a question here from my side. Do you shoot JPEG or RAW?
Always on RAW.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, then what you can do is you can change the white balance, you know, as you want to after the fact. Because I'm obviously looking here, and it's that sort of blue. You know, the blue hour type of thing where you know the shadows have got that blue cast to them, as opposed to once the sun is up a little bit more.
This is really interesting. It was shot about a day after bushfire turned down. So this is burned land. That was literally black soil he walked over. Yeah. That's what made it so different.
That's incredible. I love it. Just I can almost get the sense of that the next stride coming in. It's lovely. Really, really, really nice.
Yeah. So slow motion blurs work really well in dark light, but they can also be good to hide another factor. If we look at this, most of the safaris, for those that are not from Africa, in Botswana are actually conducted from game vehicles like this. While you're in national parks, such as the Chobe, we're constricted to the road network around us. But in a lot of private concession that we also work with, off-roading is allowed. That is amazing because it provides you with a better chance of actually following your subject and therefore learning about it and creating a story once again. However, suddenly you do not sit on eye level right in front of your subject like you do road. That's a really unusual and special perspective. Instead, you start shooting down this between the subject and the background. So the ground starts right behind the leopard and is therefore sharp. Only few photographers actually own a 2.8 telephoto lens to create the necessary bokeh here. And even fewer photographers manage to keep the focus right on a 2.8 lens on that distance, to be honest. I would struggle because you need to be so precise.
That's why you need the R5 and the R6, which have automatic animal eye tracking focus. Anyway, moving on.
And stabilization. I'm itching. But in the meanwhile, I have another trick.
Okay.
So what I simply do, because that angle is not so interesting to look at, is I shoot slow. And shooting slow might provide you with the risk of not capturing a worthwhile image, as your success rate lowers quickly. Even with experienced photographers, it does, no doubt about it. However, if you do succeed, you receive a photograph worth keeping rather than another safety shot. So this is another option.
It's amazing the difference between the shots. The first one is meh, whereas this one here, the with that blur, it changes the colors. You just it's amazing. Just go back to the previous one.
It's literally shot 5 minutes apart on the same leopard.
That's incredible.
Same distance. So it's actually right there and then. On an 1/8 of a second, yeah. I think the tail is slightly sharper than the face, unfortunately, but it's good enough. I can see the whiskers.
Absolutely. There you have it.
So, but On the other hand, being able to off-road allows you to move right up to your subject and get very unusual angles. So what I'm trying to show you at the end with all of this is that there's always a twist, and you have to work with that twist. Photographing this leopard backlit against a bright sky forced me to overexpose it again. So I had to make it a black and white image. So it's really picture perfect, but you can tell a story nevertheless. So at the end, you need to think out of the box. Please, guys, think out of the box. Another example, how excited do we all get to find a pride of lions on a kill? Lions, being the only big cat that is actually social, provides us with a lot of beautiful and strong behavior. But quite frankly, few people want to see the blood and gore that comes along with it in that photograph. So what do? Now we stand there, it's beautiful light. Take your time, sit with the carcass if you have the chance, not always do you have the chance, and look for your chance. By being early and getting a backlit shot, you tell the very same story, but you cover up the reds and the gruesome details, and instead everything is dipped in gold. Or by moving in close and concentrating on the eyes of the predator, the focus moves away from the carcass into the lioness instead. And what might be to the detriment of the poor giraffe is usually the bliss of somebody else. And if you do have the opportunity, show the pretty side to explain the ugly, as humans are very prone to close their eyes otherwise. They look away. This is why lions induce so much fear in people. So if they could see this, the love and the emotions between them, they might become a bit more forgiving and maybe be even willing to protect them. However, it took me 7 years to get lucky enough to witness such a scene. And that is why it's so important that all these stories and that we share these experiences with each other, make nature accessible to everyone out there, to people visiting the national parks, to get these type of shots, but also teaching the guides and the partners that we work with on the ground to spread the word out there. It's absolutely amazing to see the excitement in someone's eyes when they see their first elephant, able to capture it in all the facets. And my true passion is the wildlife. The photography is the tool to open up a whole new world in front of me and bring me closer to it. I hope that by teaching my guests, I'm able to open that window for them as well, so that they can see all the beautiful wonders in nature, share that passion, and spread the word and protect it. Sorry for all the stuttering and all the breaks, but thank you very much, Quentin, for this platform.
It's an absolute pleasure. I love the shot. It's it's just absolutely perfect. A beautiful sunset and everything in silhouette, and those giraffes. It's incredible. So let's put your face back on there, Will, so we can share your screen and stream your camera. Please and thank you. There we go. Fantastic.
Very close.
Thank you very much for persevering. You know, I mean, obviously connectivity issues are what they are. You know, it's you can't really do anything about them. But I think it worked out fine. What I'll do in the edit that goes up onto YouTube, I'll sort of chop out a couple of parts that we had difficulty with. But I think, you know, on the whole, it was very cool. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I think it was worked out very, very nicely. Some amazing images and some really cool insights to you know, how else you can take the shots and how you can take something that could be a bit meh and just by changing your settings make it look completely different and people take a second look. So I'm really, really, really happy about the fact that we managed to keep you on. And not, you know, we didn't have to unceremoniously end it. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. What if I tell you that I was actually crying my eyes out when I was taking these silhouette shots, that last shot I showed?
I can imagine.
When you get, I'm very emotional, but when you get in these moments, it's unbelievable. And people think, you're a photographer, you're out there all the time. But the moment you turn cold to this, you actually should stop in your profession.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can imagine the feeling. When I saw that image, it was like this. I mean, the goosebumps are nonstop on my arms, and it's not because it's cold here. It's because I can almost feel what it would be like to be there and taking that shot. So I mean, for you to say, you were crying your eyes out, I believe it 100%. Because if I got a shot like that, I would probably do exactly the same thing. So it's and that's what makes it amazing. I think when people ask me, what's the best? Isn't it awesome being a professional and et cetera, et cetera? Sometimes I think the best time to be a photographer is when it's still a hobby, because then you've got no clients that are expecting anything. You can't let anyone down. You're just going out and you're learning, and there's new experiences all the time. And then you get a shot like that and you go, whoa. You know what I mean? And if you don't get that shot, it doesn't matter. You were still there. You still had the experience. But when you kind of have to earn a living out of it, then it becomes a bit more serious, and you don't really want to take the camera out to, family. Oh, really? Do I have to? You know what I mean? So it's to keep the passion going, I think, is incredibly important. And I mean, I don't like it when people kind of, I'm so passionate about it, but it is something that you need to keep it. You need to have that. Otherwise, as you say, you become cold to it and nothing, whatever. And then
I didn't dare to look at these shots for a good 2 days. I downloaded them, kept them safe, because I didn't want to ruin the feeling of it being so great. I want to be disappointed at the outcome and be like, oh no, this didn't turn out right. I just wanted to savor that moment.
Yeah, and that image is beautiful. I absolutely love it. The giraffes in the back there with the little horns, and it's just so many boxes are ticked for me. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much. I'm sure your clients must love it as well. If I get a chance to head into that direction, I'm definitely going to come up there. We can hopefully meet in person and take some pictures. So it'd be fantastic.
Roger has promised you coming up long, and now this
has
blown up a bit.
Yeah, as I said to you earlier, I wanted to do a screen grab of what came up on my the sort of to-do list or the calendar reminders for the day. It said possible Chobe trip, and I kind of looked at it and went, oh, because we would have been there now. We would have flown in yesterday, and we would have been there now. So anyway, that's still coming. It's in the future. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. We'll touch base face to face and share a gin and tonic.
Yeah, please. That would be awesome. Cheers.
Thanks,
to that.
Janine. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of there's not much left of the afternoon, but enjoy the weekend. Take some awesome shots.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Janine.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Quentin. Bye, guys.
Bye.